Hi everyone, I'm Neil. Thanks so much for coming here. uh, Thank you, appreciate. My project is about the second generation of Asian American and Pacific Islander immigrants. So today at first, I'm going to tell you a story. This girl was one of my interviewees from the community. Her Chinese name is Qing, means sunshine. Her parents want her to have a happy life just like the sun. She was born in Pennsylvania. Her parents are the first generational immigrants from Taiwan. They came to the US to pursue their graduate degree back in the middle 80s. After that, they chose to stay because they saw their children will have a US citizenship, and their first language will be English, which is the most widely used language in the world. And most importantly, their next generation will have a better life here. After she grew up and went to the school, she studied very hard. However, she and her brother are the only two Asian students in the school. As you can easily imagine, she had a very difficult time in the school because of how she dressed differently, eat differently, and looks differently. As the only young Asian girl in the school, she was simmering with the resentment for something that she cannot even change, like her Asian family, shape of her eyes, color of her skin and hair. At that time, she didn't realize those feelings have swarmed her, and she has no one to turn to. Her parents didn't understand her. They put it down to her rebellious adolescence and chose to turn a blind eye to it. She had to keep suppressing those feelings and end up in depression, anxiety, and some harmful behaviors. Her parents finally sent her to the therapy, but they chose to hide the fact that their doctor in the mental therapy from their friends and community. After years in the mental therapy, she survived. We talked over 6 hours in the meeting, and now we become friends. This is something that I read from her written story, which I personally feel very resonated with. As a person who have the similar experience as her, she gave me lots of guidance for my journey, and I really appreciate that. But the story that I just tell you all cannot even reflect 1/3 of the journey and struggle that my friend had experienced. Chen is one of the thousand children who have the mental health challenges from the AAPI immigrant families. 6.1% of US population identifies as Asian American or Pacific Islander. But 15% of them reported having mental illness in the past years, which means over 2.9 million people who facing the mental challenges. And the major depressive episode increased nearly to 5% in the age 26 to 49. However, AAPI are the racial group least likely to seek for the mental health service, which are the 3 times less likely than the white group. At the beginning of my research, I tried to seek out the factor that prevent children of AAPI immigrants from looking for the mental health support and sharing emotions and feelings. I've talked with over 10 young adults from the AAPI community. While I'm talking with them one-on-one, I was like, oh my God, me too. You are just reading my mind. But I never said out loud that I've been through there. I found out that those factors and challenges are mainly comes from the perspective of Asian culture, family, and society. In the Asian culture context, talking about feelings is a sign of weakness and which is against the value of independencies. And our Asian parents have been telling us that they work so hard and sacrifice so much to provide a better life for us, which is true, but we can never let them down. And the model minority, the foreigner stereotype, and also with the increasing number of racism and the Asian hate crime these years, brings lots of pressure to the people of AAPI community. On top of that, those factors causes the problem of a lack of awareness and no access of sharing within the community. People don't realize the source that put them under the pressure, and they internalize those shameful and negative feelings, and they don't know how to share it, who to share with. With all those feelings and pressure adding up, it will end up with the problem like depression, disconnection within the family, self-isolation, segregation within the community, and even suicide. And I just want to clarify here that what I'm doing is not trying to help people with their mental health issues, because I know clearly that I have no background in psychology and mental therapy. But I'm thinking what I can do for my community about these two problems as a social designers. This is the book that inspired me a lot for my practice, The Minor Feeling, written by Cassie Park Home. Like she said in the book, where that the silence that neglects her ends, and where does the silence that respects her begin? The problem with silence is that it can speak up and say why it's silent. And so silence connects, becomes amplified, take on life outside of our intentions. In that, silence can get misread and as indifferences or avoidance or even shame. And eventually, this silence passes over into forgetting. So later, I centered all my work around the question that how might we create safe and trusted space for the children of AAPI immigrants to share their common experiences, to reduce the sense of isolation and increase the sense of belonging. During my research and talking with people, I feel there's a lot of underlying feelings. People in the community, they're just like living on an island. We are somehow so disconnected with each other, with the family, and with the community. So I named my work No One is an Island, and here are some approaches that I've tried. I've created a storyboard for the people to share and read each other's stories. All the stories are anonymous because I want the participant to feel safe about their feelings. I ask my community to write something about their experiences and feelings, but people do not know what to share at first. So I wrote my story about the journey that I looking for the therapist and something about my family trauma, and I share it with them. Then people started to share their story back with me. Right now, I've collected 9 stories from my community. Each of the stories are different, vulnerable, but real and touching. I found out that reading those personal feelings, something in our body that moves, relevant, and makes us to feel free, to feel less lonely, and to feel connect. And how can we do that together in a deliverable way? So next, I've created a website of storytelling, also included the function that helping people to find different community and therapies. When I'm trying to put those stories on the website, I actually see the reluctance and hesitation that people do not want to publish their story. That's the time I realized that people are more likely to share in a smaller group. The topic of story is not matter. What matters is sharing with who. Website is just a base, and an anonymous story is not safe enough for a vulnerable space like this. Even though those stories are anonymous, but the feelings are still private and personal. So next, I pivoted all my work to a social media app. This is the app that is an audio-based app that allows people everywhere to talk, to tell the story, to find a community, to deepen the friendship, and meet with people who have the shared experiences. The user can jump in and out of different channels on different topics. However, you can only join the private group by invitation, and you need permission of other members in the groups. Ideally, I want this app to do more than just a social media space, but a tool that encourages people to lead the user to meet in the real world, like go to the live house together, having a dinner together, making the dumpling, and playing the mahjong together. I know some of you are very good at it. Here are the 2 workshops that I have done with the senior AAPI immigrants and the second-generation immigrants. Both of the workshops brings me lots of insight. The one on the left is the workshop that I'm with 7 AAPI senior immigrants. The thing that really shocked me is that they are actually the second-generation immigrants. They have never come to the US in the past of their life. They do not have any friends here. The only English they can say is hello. But they came here to look after their grandchildren even though they are over 70 or 80 years old. They actually helped me to understand the things that we call blood is thicker than water. On the right, I had a workshop with different designers and someone from my community. We had a very good conversation around the question like what this space looks like. We went through those activities and questions. During the discussion, we just spontaneously sharing our feelings and story. And I just realized that this is also a type of safe and trusted space that I want to create for the community. As you know, this month is the AAPI Heritage Month, which means a lot to the Asian community. This work is not end, it will keep iterating. And I also see myself is growing with this work. When I'm talking with people from the community, I actually see myself as a container of their emotional stories and feelings. I hope this work will also become a type of a container and a bridge of the underlying stories and the feelings of the AAPI community. As a person who also faced the mental health challenges, I was so reluctant to start this work because I know I have to face something that I've been struggling with for years, and I was not sure I can handle it. But as a journalist and a social designer, it is also important for me to reveal the underlying stories and the feelings. Later, I think this is the work that I could not to do because the work is full of lonely people who are afraid to make the first move. When I was talking with the community, when we're sharing the feeling with others, it really forced me to be vulnerable with myself and with my family story. I think this is work that telling people that, hey, we have a space of pain, and we're not alone in that. And that is the bonds. And together, we will break the shame that we all feel struggle. At the last, I want to thank my advisor, Mary and Mia. Thanks for guiding me through this year, and sorry for the headache that I gave you two in the early stage. And thanks my friend for giving me the honor to share her story with you all and giving me the advices for my journey. And thanks Jenny, Mickey, Zara, Dory, Ricky, Kahan, the Mighty Seven for all the support and care. Thanks my community. I could have never done this without you all. I think this is also what I want to show in my work, that the thing we call connection. No one is an island. Everyone is here. Thank you so much.